Social media has changed the game for many people. In fact, there's a whole industry around influencer marketing that has made regular people very wealthy. Regardless of if you want to be an influencer or not, social media can be leveraged to help build your personal brand or the brand of your business. Today, I'm speaking with CGS client turned business owner, Ebony Smith. Ebony took her social media marketing business full-time last year and has leveraged social media to transition her business to offering CEOs operational support. She's dropping some gems with us today about using social media to your advantage. Welcome to the City Girl Savings Podcast. I'm Rhea Reeves, founder and finance coach of City Girl Savings. I turned my life around with budgeting many years ago, and now I'm on a mission to help others do the same. I fully believe that you can enjoy your life on a budget, and this weekly show will focus on the intersection of money and the city girl lifestyle. Join me every week along with some special guests as I share my experiences, advice, and guidance on navigating life and money as an experience-loving millennial. Ebony and I virtually met back in 2016 when I created a budget plan for her. And since then, we've been working together on and off to maximize her finances as she's gone through different life and work transitions. Ebony started her social media marketing business while working full-time in corporate America. And thanks to a layoff, she decided to pursue her business full-time. More recently, Ebony has pivoted her business from social media marketing to operational support for other business owners. Ebony is married with 2 adorable little ones and understands the importance of leveraging social media for your personal or business brand. I'm excited for all Ebony has to share today and for the fact that she and I will be meeting for the first time in Austin at the Fearless Chase Conference, where I'll be speaking on a panel all about defining success. I just love when I get to meet my clients in person. Ebony, I am so excited for this conversation. Thank you so much for being here. I know I touched very little on your background, but I would love if you could just fill us in with more details. Tell us about yourself.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, Rhea. Like you said, I went from loving the corporate life, feeling like that was my safety net, thinking that that was my dream, to now actually feeling like I'm living my dream every day with my business. So I support female entrepreneurs, particularly ones in the coaching industry, and serve as their trusted partner so they're able to stay within their zone of genius and become their true CEO selves while continuing to grow their business. So that can range from social media marketing to making sure that their systems and the back end of their operations are tightened up so they're not bothered with those day-to-day processes and can get that off their plate.
So I know we're going to talk a little bit about how your business started and all of that, but I'm curious. You mentioned that you thought your dream was to stay in corporate America, which I totally get. I was there for a while myself. But what was like that pivotal changing point for you where you're like, you know what, let me just try to start a business and see what happens? Like, what was your thought process?
So it's funny. Like you mentioned, I started the business while I was still full-time in corporate. So it kind of happened by accident. I was in school for marketing. A friend had a graphic design business and asked me to help him because he was thinking about offering social media to some clients, but he wasn't on socials like that. And I have always been one to, before I make a purchase, I'll check out someone's website and their social media. And that's kind of where the passion and the love for it started. When I started the business, however, I did not go into it with a business mindset. So I think I was probably charging people $100 a month or something crazy. And it just wasn't sustainable for me, working full time, still being in school. And then at that time, we just had one baby. She was a little one. And so I kind of let it die down a little bit until the layoff.
Which I know we'll talk about. It's funny, you say that you do research on social media before you make a purchase. Is that how you found City Girl Savings? Do you remember when and how you found us?
So it definitely was partially social and then just Googling. I was looking to, I'm trying to remember what I even searched, but it was along the lines of like financial wellness and budgeting. And that was before like I even was introduced to the whole coaching industry. It might have even been like a financial planner or something I typed in. And then I was going through people's websites and it was like yours spoke to me like with the colors. And then I was like, she looks fun. I feel like she's going to get me. She's about my age. Like, let's go for it.
Oh my
And
gosh.
then the rest is history.
And here we are 6 years later.
Right.
I remember, when we first met and you were working, like I vividly remember that. And there really hadn't been any talk of starting a business. So your friend had reached out and kind of, I guess, sparked something in you. But what point in time did you actually decide to take the business serious? Was it when you were laid off, or did that happen before you were laid off?
Yeah. So I would say I really took it seriously like once I was laid off. When I started doing socials, so I actually like filed the business. Like I didn't have an LLC back then. I think it was a sole prop, but like I've always been one to like kind of like do research before I do something. So like I wanted it to be like a legit business. And I was like, oh, down the line, when necessary, we'll change like the business organization. But I just kind of like let it go. But it was kind of always in the back of my head, but I did not think as much of it back then. And so I was like, oh, I'm never going to like really make money off of this. Like, there's no way I can charge enough to make a comfortable living. And it was about time of the layoff. The layoff happened right before I had Carter. So Carter will be 2 in October. I told myself I was going to wait until after I had him to start interviewing internally because that was an option. The thing that actually hit the switch for me, I took an internal interview. So everyone was well aware I was on maternity leave. I made a mention to the interviewer how, like, my apologies, because I was like less than 5 minutes late. And I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, my newborn's a couple of days old. He was a little fussy and I wanted to settle him before. And then she was like, so should you even be interviewing? Because it doesn't sound like you're going to be ready to come back to work in 2 weeks. So I finished the interview professionally, like went through the rest of the questions. And then afterwards, I kind of like broke down, talked to my husband. And I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, they want me to come back to work early. Like, just had him. We're just through the end of COVID. So it's like, I can't imagine going back to work. And he was like, why don't you relaunch your business? And I was like, we're not going to live off of that. Like, I was so like, I resisted it so much. But luckily, like with the layoff came like a severance package. And I want to say that they were covering me for like 9 months or something after my maternity leave finished. So I was like, it's enough time for me to figure out, is this going to be profitable? If not, I'm still collecting my money from the job. And then worst case scenario, a couple months before it ends, I'll go find other work. I knew I could find work again. I didn't want to.
Yeah, that's important. And I mean, at the end of the day, we want to live a life we love. And it's almost like she totally disregarded the fact that you had just had a child. And it's like, how dare you? like the disrespect.
Literally. It was an easy enough pregnancy given the fact that like I found out I was pregnant like maybe like 3 weeks before lockdown happened. So I basically spent the whole pregnancy in the house besides going out for like doctor's appointments. But Kennedy couldn't come to the hospital to meet him. So like my emotions were already heightened and already feeling like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to go back to work one day. There's 2 of them. Like, what if I get sick outside? Like, it was just all these feelings. And I'm like, total disregard. Not even just like the fact that, okay, the company that you're also with just got rid of like 3 whole departments. It's not like I was like, oh, can't make it, not showing up. I was literally like 3 minutes late to the interview.
I tell you, there are some perks to working in corporate America, but there are also some drawbacks as well.
Yeah.
I feel like you just recently went through a rebrand with your business. Can you share how your business started and how it's kind of changed through today?
Yes. So when I went full time into business, I was like, okay, I know how to do social media management and I love marketing. this is the way that we're going to go. I'm going to figure it out. It's going to make me money. Like, I'm going to be happy. And I was in it, working through it. And then that was like my first real experience in the online space. And I just wasn't aware of all of the different opportunities in the online space, like being a virtual assistant, being an online business manager. So in addition to being a social media manager, I started being a virtual assistant as well. And I found so many similarities, or at least similarities on the good parts of corporate with being a virtual assistant. So there were many aspects getting down to like project management that I was like, oh, this really feels at home. This is like the perfect combination of what I enjoyed about corporate, but also allowing me that freedom and flexibility of having my business and being there for my family. And then kept chugging away on that dream to make the most money that I could. And I feel like when you come in the online space, sometimes like everyone preaches this dream of 10K months. And then so I was like, gotta do it. That's like the badge of honor in the online space. I did it. And it was the worst time of my life. Like, I was so miserable. And I was like, you know what? Maybe I just need to go back, get a job again. Like, if this is what it takes to make 10K a month, like, I don't want it. I can't. I loved connecting with people. I loved being a service provider. So I was still undercharging or allowing like scope creep to happen. So me and the client would be like friendly. And I'd be like, well, like, this is not part of like what you paid for, but I can help you here or something. Coming like full circle, I was like, you know what? I made it this far. I'm not quitting. I'm not just going back to work. There are times where I do miss working outside the home or even like my office. I miss the lack of responsibilities of working a 9 to 5 because there's just so many responsibilities to have as a business owner because like everyone looks to you for answers. And I was like, look, this is burning me out. And I realized that I kept coming back to my clients were looking to save time, or like a lot of my clients, they're all very good at what they do. But what would happen is because of the service that they would provide through coaching, typically they scaled a lot quicker than they were prepared for. And then they would get at this point, the success point where they were starting to burn out and they were doing things manually, or they were doing a lot of things by themselves, or they had a team and it wasn't properly optimized. I'm like, hey, like, you're spending money in the wrong parts of your business. Like, let's clean up the back end so you can continue to grow, but you can sustain it in a healthy way. And it's not compromising the services that you're giving. And then that's where it just came once like full on operations support. So some of my clients like to call me like their right hand. Some of them call me like their COO. A client today was like, hey, do you know another one of you? And I was like, I don't. But
they're out there. They've got to be.
If you tell me what you need, I can possibly make a recommendation.
It sounds like it transitioned so naturally, right? Mm-hmm. Like you saw this problem with your clients and you just flowed into that position of providing the solution.
Yes. I love problem solving. It just came natural. So I'm like, okay, anyone can kind of make their own content for the most part. It might be a time suck. You might not want to do it, but you can technically do it. It takes a lot for a CEO to like step outside of their business to be like, okay, I'm like so close to this that it's not even that the CEO is the problem, but it's like, I'm not realizing like, maybe if I connect these 2 points, I can eliminate this extra step. It's been so rewarding. I love my clients. It's just, I wake up happy to start work. There's no more Sunday scaries.
That's such a great feeling. So I want to shift back to creating content. When you were running your business as a social media marketer, even probably doing what you're doing now, what were and maybe still are some of the biggest mistakes you've seen people making on their social media when it comes to content?
Posting too much content.
Really? What's too much?
It's funny that like a lot of people feel like you have to post daily, like that's the only way to get reach, or like, let me buy all these ads. And it's like, no, that's not necessarily what you need. You need to know, like, who are you talking to? Because let's say I'm just like, oh, I just want to speak to all women entrepreneurs. But what gets you to buy or what might be your pain point might not be the next pain point of another female entrepreneur. So it's like really getting down to the bottom of who are you talking to so your message can come across to them clearly. And there's a such thing as audience fatigue. If I see the same ad over and over or the same like piece of content from someone, and you can tell that they just threw it together, like it's not going to make me stop. It's not going to make me want to click the link. And then also the platforms are getting so smart. They're like, okay, people aren't spending enough time. Like your content is making them kill the app and they're not coming back till later. So I'm not showing your content anymore. So a lot of times posting more content hurts people more than they realize.
So, what's maybe a good rule of thumb someone can follow when it comes to posting content? Is it one time a day, twice a week? What would you recommend?
Honestly, it's like one of those things that like a doctor would be like, hey, it depends on like the brand and the person. But a lot of small businesses literally like 3 to maybe 4 times a week is like all that their audience really needs, especially with reels out here. The lifespan of a reel is so long that if you go away because like maybe you're not feeling it this week or you're like not inspired to make content, your reels can keep going on for you. Like I took a break because at a point when I was doing the rebrand, I wanted to put more energy on getting the rebrand done and not reducing the level of service that my clients were getting. So I paused on content for a little bit and I was still getting follows and engagement and inquiries coming in because of a reel that someone saw from like months ago.
Wow. Okay. So, this kind of notion that you always have to be creating content, you always have to be posting, it's really a false narrative in our own minds.
Absolutely. Yeah. Between it being a false narrative in our own minds and then like just thinking about the current state of the world, everyone experienced 2020. Everyone had a different relationship with 2020, if you would, but everyone went through that period of time. And the most common thing that you hear a lot of people say is that they realize the importance of that human aspect or spending time with loved ones. So a lot of buyers nowadays, they don't want a burnt out business owner. They want someone that's speaking to them genuinely from the heart and that they know is human.
I think that's wonderful advice. And what would you say for someone who maybe doesn't have a business that they're sharing the brand of on social media, but they're trying to kind of put their personal brand out there, maybe to potentially work with other brands or to grow in their career? Would the same advice work for them? Like, would they want to also just be mindful of how much content they're putting out? Or do you have another piece of advice for those types of people?
I would say definitely still be mindful of the content. Like if you're a legit content creator and you can pump out quality pieces of content that keep people like engaged and they're like, oh, this is great, by all means, continue doing what works for you. But if you're like trying to force yourself to burn out this content because it's not natural to you, don't. But still, like, go online to have those quality human connections. Honestly, I've gotten so many clients or even just like built relationships off of genuine engagement. So like not just liking a bunch of pictures on someone's page and like, hey, sent you a DM, but like if it applied, liking it, leaving a genuine comment, replying to stories, sending someone a DM. There was a life coach that I was really interested in working with. And she had sent a DM that she was looking for someone in my industry. I mean, she posted a story and I simply responded to the story. I was like, hey, so you're looking for this. This is what I do. Would love to chat. She ended up responding and asking to set up a call. So just those genuine connections and not like being spammy.
Yeah. It's like quantity over quality, right? Like all the
Yeah.
likes and kind of like, oh, nice, great, basic comments won't get you anywhere, but the quality is really what counts.
Yeah. Or even taking it like back to like dating and stuff. Like if you were going to go get coffee or something before you started dating your boyfriend and somebody was like catcalling or something, like you're not going to pay attention to them. But if someone actually opens the door and like, hey, how's your day going? You're like, oh, it's just like being a person.
Right. I mean, I feel like it's like the more we interact with like the digital world, the more like desensitized we become. And it's like the less human interaction we have, even though that's what we all crave.
Exactly. You're thinking like, oh, that person's so busy. Like they have 50,000 followers. They're not going to respond to me. But it's like, okay, they have 50,000 followers. You were one of the 5 people that left a genuine comment or like actually found a point of connection with them. They're going to possibly respond or send you a message back.
Absolutely. Now, it's pretty clear that social media is saturated or can be looked at as being saturated. And so people may feel like they're a little too late to get into the social media game. What tips do you have for someone who wants to leverage social media to grow their personal or business brand, but they're feeling the weight of all the other people who started before them?
Honestly, just know that you're not alone in feeling that way. It's funny, like as starting out as a social media manager in the beginning, I was like, well, why should I post about X, Y, and Z? Or why should I post about the latest Instagram update? Like, there's probably hundreds or thousands of social media managers out there posting about this. And it literally took one of my mentors reminding me that the people that follow me are not the same people that I follow. So although I follow people in my industry and that's what I'm seeing on my feed all day, I might be the only social media manager or operations professional that someone follows. So I might be their first touch point in whatever the latest update is. There's so many different items and products that we use every day. And there's like, how many brands are there? Like you still find the one that works for you.
Ooh, that's so true. And I think pulling the thread through a little bit on that, one thing that I like to think about is like, no one is me. No one has my story. No one has my exact experiences. And so because of that, I can come to a very saturated space and share my story and still feel like I have something different to offer than everybody else.
Exactly.
So I think the advice would be like, as long as you are not afraid to kind of share your story, your experiences, what has worked for you or what hasn't worked for you, it's never too late.
Exactly. And a lot of times the relationships that you build through social media or even like just in the digital space in general, they will be some of the most genuine relationships that you have, especially as so many people are working from home now. You don't have like the water cooler to go around. Like that is social media for us. Like, it's like, hey, Ray, what's going on in your office today?
Right. That's such a good point. And take it even like outside of a business perspective, right? You can actually make real friends from social media. Yes. It doesn't have to be a transactional relationship. It can actually be a genuine friendship.
Absolutely. Like I've made so many friends in the online space where like my husband, for instance, like he doesn't have a business yet, but he has so many friends in the online space that he's made doing like his Instagram live series. When we went to Disney World in December, he actually like met up with one of his online friends. So like they had been friends for like a few years and he lived near Disney. So it's like the friendships that you make are everything.
And not just like on Instagram, right? Like this can be across all social media platforms. Like there's a City Girl Savings Facebook group, and there have been people in the group who have like linked up. Like one of the girls went to California, another girl lived in California. So they went out for lunch. And I'm just like, oh my God, this just warms my soul.
Yes, I love the group. Literally, you meet people everywhere. Even like LinkedIn is so underrated. People think that LinkedIn is like this buttoned up corporate place, and it's not. LinkedIn is like actual fun.
It is. LinkedIn. I actually got my first sale within City Girl Savings from LinkedIn.
Really?
Yeah. So you're right. LinkedIn is so underrated. I think people are a little intimidated by it because it is for career professionals. So people kind of want to show up with their best face on and maybe just let loose a little bit.
Especially like on LinkedIn, it's funny, like some of the content that does the best are like polls or like just their content of you being a human, like the pictures, not the like stylized graphics that you spend all day in Photoshop or Canva doing, but like legit real life stuff.
Are you tired of wondering which moves to make next with your money? Do you need some guidance on whether to pay off debt, save, or focus on something else? Get my free Money Moves packet today and start making impactful money moves instantly. Go to citygirlsavings.com/moves to download your Money Moves packet now.
Now, I think there's a common misconception that if you don't have a lot of followers, you can't make money on Instagram or any other social media channel. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a lie.
Okay, elaborate.
Yes. So I'm trying to think back when I made my first 10K, was totally booked out last year. I maybe had maybe 400 followers on Instagram. I wasn't really active on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn possibly still had my corporate stuff on it. Twitter was yeah. And it didn't stop people from working with me. It was like when we would connect and I would ask them questions, they would give me their feedback, and we had that genuine conversation about how I can help them and solve their pain points. It was okay, I did not even look at your phone. I don't care. Or someone told me to go find you.
Yes, I think you're so right about that. Referrals are huge, but also too, even if you had 200 followers and just one of them became a client, you're making money, right? So I don't think the number of followers really transitions to sales. Don't get me wrong. I think it can attract you to brands and partnerships and that type of thing, but it is absolutely not a necessity to make money.
No, not at all. And then also think about, there are some people with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, and they could possibly launch an offer and not sell anything because they don't have that engaged community, or they haven't laid the foundation there, or they have so many followers because they purchased followers. That is the biggest no-no. Never buy followers.
I mean, I remember there being a point in time where there were bots and people could buy it and stuff. Is that still a thing?
It is. And that was one of the first questions I would ask someone before I brought them on as a client. Did you buy followers? There were a few people that would be no. And then I would go through the followers and these aren't people. And then they were okay, I was scared to tell you. And I'm no, you need to tell me because we have to get rid of these because they totally affect your account negatively.
Well, and here's the thing, the amount of followers you have, in reality, it's just a vanity or ego thing, right? We should not equate our worth or the worth of our business based on how many followers we have. I think going back to the points we were making, even if you had 100 followers, but you were bringing money into your business or just, your personal life, hey, the number don't matter.
Right. Exactly.
So if people do spend money on followers, what should they do to undo that? I mean, do they have to basically go through their followers and just remove or block? Or what would you advise someone to do?
Literally, you have to go through and remove them or start a new account.
Oof.
Right.
That sounds like a waste of time.
And the thing is, again, the platforms are getting so smart. So let's say you bought followers and you had to remove 1,000 people or something. You're technically limited on how many people you can unfollow or follow in a day. Or Instagram can lock your account.
What? But why would they do that?
Because they have to make sure you're not a bot as well.
Oh, okay. So too much
and that you're
following.
not being spammy.
Okay. Well, I mean, it's good that they're doing things to regulate that, because I know on the City Girl Savings page, I get so many of those spam comments so-and-so changed my life, invested $10,000 in her today. And I'm just oh my God, Instagram, get rid of them. What piece of advice would you give to somebody who struggles with something like that?
Try to block them as you can. And then also, if you use hashtags, even though it may sound tedious, try to do a manual review of your hashtags and see what are the top posts that are coming up. And if the posts are not related to your industry, even though let's say it was financial goals or something like that was the hashtag you were using. And when you go on it, it had literally nothing to do, or it was about food. You would just kind of want to scan it to see okay, are these posts spammy? And then find a different hashtag, trade that one out.
Okay. That's good advice. So Let's go back to creating content because I feel like that can be a deterrent for some people. In your opinion, how should someone go about creating content for social media, especially when it feels overwhelming or if they're just new to the game?
I guess the most inspiration that I get when creating content is thinking back to like what made me get in the industry or do what I do. What are my clients' pain points? Because, like I said, a lot of CEOs, their pain points are they don't have enough time in their day. And it's like, that's going to resonate with so many people. It might not just resonate with my clients, it might resonate with like a neighbor. Like it can resonate with anyone because they're going 24 hours in a day. So really think about like the issues that you solve with what you do, or if you are building your personal brand, it's like think about your end goal and then like reverse engineer and then go back and then find one little nugget from that and then elaborate on that. Your caption does not have to be a novel. A lot of times people aren't going to read it anyway. And then repurpose content. People are so scared to reuse content in another way, and I don't know why.
I'm not one of those people, by the way. I've been creating content for too long not to be reusing stuff.
Yes, like if you spent hours on a blog or like on an email, there's some sort of gems that you can pull out of that and turn to a carousel post or turn into a reel. There are so many things you can do with your content. So don't be afraid to repurpose.
Yeah. And I read somewhere that the same piece of content or like the same theme of content needs to be shared like 7 to 10 times for somebody to like actually see it because people are constantly just scrolling through their feed. So if you just put it out there once, the likelihood of all the people you want to see it seeing it is very small. But if you put it out there in multiple ways, more people are going to see the same message.
Yep. And then just think about like learning styles too. Like, back from the corporate world, like when you would do trainings, it would be like the video, the written form, the audio only. So it's like people learn in different ways and things stick to people in different ways. So like your carousel may not have made me want to buy something, but maybe the reel you did or like a small like tweet post like really resonated with me. And I'm like, you know what? Like, let me go see more about what this person does. Like, who posted this?
So another thing that I think could probably scare people is how many social media platforms there actually are. What are your thoughts on getting started with all of them? Do you recommend somebody maybe start with one or two? Should someone just go all in and see what works? What's your advice for that?
It really depends on your capacity. And then if you're a brand, like where are your clients at? So there are a lot of brands like, I don't know, maybe like an orthopedic surgeon. His clients might not be on TikTok. Granted, there may be like some athletes on TikTok that like got hurt, but he's probably going to want to stick around for like Facebook and Instagram. So like find out where your people are. And that's where you want to start.
Okay.
Go to where your people are.
Well, what if somebody doesn't know? So if somebody is like just starting out and they have an idea of like maybe what they want to do or who they want to serve, like, but they don't know like where those people are, what advice would you give them for trying to find those people?
Market research. Because like in the beginning, I was like, I don't know. Like someone said niche to me one time and I was like, what do you mean? Like, I don't know. I work with people that are willing to pay for services.
You're like anyone on social media can sign up with
like,
me.
I don't know. And especially like being a social media manager, like I would pay attention like, okay, I actually don't want to write content about this. Or like, okay, this is not bad, or this comes natural. And then from there, like, okay, where do these people kind of hang out? Sometimes it's doing a little research, digging around, depending on the industry, like find some competitors and see where they're at. And not just competitors, find influencers in your industry. So like a big person that I would follow and kind of look at the people in their comments when I first started was like Gary Vee. I'm like, he has everyone's ear. Like people are listening to him.
I love
so like,
him.
well, yes. And he is everywhere. But I'm like, okay, where are the people that like I'm reading the comments and I'm like, oh, this person seems cool. And it was on Instagram for me. And that's where we started out.
Okay. So it's like, don't be afraid to do a little snooping, check out people's pages, check out the comments, and eventually you'll find where they are.
Exactly. And one of like the easiest ones on Instagram, especially if you're like, well, I don't know, like how to engage with my audience or get my audience to like notice me, set post notifications for like an influencer in the industry. So like for me, it was Gary Vee. I set post notifications on, and when he would post, I'd be like one of the first people in his comments. So then when other people came to his comments, they would look at the comment, they might like it or something, but they're going to come back to the page usually. And then if they connected with what I had on my page, they would typically follow and something could start from there.
Oh, I've never heard that tip before. Okay, there's a gem I like. That's very interesting. Now, are there any tools or resources that you would recommend for people who are looking to grow their brand on social media?
Yes. So I understand, as well as most people understand, like there's not enough hours in a day to sit on social media all day. And for me, I batch content when I create it. It just works out so much better than me trying to make a post every day. So I schedule out my content. Personally, I use Later to schedule my content because I like their analytics. But for someone that's just starting out and maybe not wanting to invest in a platform, if you are a business and you're posting content, a lot of people don't realize Facebook has their own scheduler. And all you have to do to be able to like auto post to Instagram is have a Facebook business page. It doesn't even have to be published. So like my Facebook business page isn't published, but it's just like there and hidden. And their scheduler, you can schedule out content on both Facebook and Instagram for free. You can schedule out stories for Facebook, see analytics, and like really like manage your accounts on the back end. And then a lot of other schedulers, they will have like a free version. And for hashtags, I love Flick.
What's Flick?
I believe their website's like flick.tech, but it's a hashtag analyzer. You can connect your business Instagram to it, and it'll look at the back end when you make posts and see like how it ranks with the hashtags that you use. And then they'll make suggestions, but they also allow you to search hashtags easily. So you can see like which ones are kind of oversaturated that might be more likely to bring spam. And maybe you thought of a hashtag, you're like, oh, this sounds really good. But then in reality, like you go searching, you're like, oh, no one's posted on, like, is somebody really going to search this to possibly find what they're looking for? So it's been a really good tool for that.
Oh, I've never heard of that one. That sounds really good.
Yeah, I love it.
So what advice would you give to someone who wants to help other people grow and manage their social media accounts? So maybe they don't want to do it for themselves, but maybe they want to offer that as a business of their own. What advice would you give?
Don't be afraid to start small, as in like, don't feel like you have to go and become versed on all the platforms. Pick one or two that you feel really comfortable with, and then use that as like your unique selling point. And also charge your worth. People that just enjoy social media or they enjoy creating content, they'll be so quick. I mean, it was me to be like, oh, this is only like $300 a month. And then once they keep going and they're like, okay, this is still cool, but I want to make more money. I don't really have the time and capacity to keep bringing on people. If you're doing well at it, you're helping that person make more money. So it's an investment into their business. And it's not like it's just like a random investment, like, oh, my Starbucks is an investment to boost my energy. No, you're legitimately helping them build their business.
Right.
So
like you are a business owner who is helping somebody with their business. Yeah. I was there too. I didn't charge my worth in the beginning because I had no idea, right? Like you just kind of assume like, well, what would somebody pay for this? Okay, probably that. And then you realize, okay, way too many people are paying that price. That's probably a sign.
Yes. Exactly.
If you could sum up the importance of social media into just a sentence or two, what would you say?
Be your authentic self. You never want it to be a situation where you're on social media, like being someone who you're not. Because what if you meet these people in real life? And then not even just meeting them in real life. What if you're having a bad day? And then it's like, oh, wow, I can't even like turn to these people, maybe in the DMs I built relationships with, because they really don't know who I am. Just be yourself. People are going to connect.
So social media is important for building genuine, authentic relationships. So be yourself in order to leverage social media to your advantage, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. We're kind of wrapping up here, but I have another question for you. Imposter syndrome. You even mentioned it earlier. I think we've all been there, especially like when we're trying to establish ourselves as a brand or a business. Do you have any tips to help someone get over that dreaded feeling of like, why am I here? And essentially keep pursuing their social media goals?
Honestly, like have a check-in with yourself. That's like a big thing for me now, especially when it comes to imposter syndrome, because like I feel like as you continue to grow, it like creeps up even more. It's just like, oh, I didn't get you before, like I'm back. And I'm like back with a vengeance. And it's like, no, go away. So it takes a lot of like me checking in with myself and then my support system. My husband is my biggest cheerleader. Like I tell him like if I close the sales call, I tell him if like I'm not feeling it, if I feel like who am I to be like telling someone how to run like multi-million-dollar businesses? Why? Like, why do you want to listen to me? And then he's like, look at what you do. He'll like bring up my wins. And he's like, but look how you did this. Look how you helped this person 10 times their income. Like you saved these people time. Like you're right. So I started like keeping like a little win wall. So I'll take like little sticky notes. They're in the closet.
I love that.
When I have wins, I'll like write them down. And if I'm having a down day, like I'll just go look at it. Or I took a picture of it, so I'll keep it on my phone. So if I'm not home, I'll like kind of look at it. And I don't respond immediately because usually imposter syndrome comes around when you're increasing prices, speaking with like someone that you want as a client, like they're your ideal client. You're like, they don't want me. I'll take a moment, give myself a little pep talk, maybe like turn on like a feel good playlist. And then I'll think through my points and I'm like, you know what? Yes, this is why they want to work with me. This is why I am the best person for them to work with. And then I move through. And then afterwards, I'm like, oh, I can't believe I did that.
That's such great advice. I love the win wall idea. That kind of resonates with an idea that sometimes I give my clients when even outside of a business, they're just like not feeling their worth. Anytime you receive a review, a praise, an award, a recognition, write it down. And when you're feeling like you need a confidence boost, review the list. Like just read it. It makes a difference.
It totally does.
Oh, that's such great advice. Okay, Ebony, where can people learn more about you?
I like to hang out on Instagram. They can find me at ebonysmith.co. They can find me on my website, ebonysmith.co. And by the time this airs, hopefully all my social platforms will be officially changed to ebonysmith.co.
Yay. And anything exciting coming up for you personally or for your business?
Yes. I have been working on a new launch offer, especially with summertime rolling around. A lot of clients, of course, they don't want to reduce their income around summer, but they want to reduce their hours worked in the most successful way possible. So that is coming soon. So I'll be talking about that all on socials and through email.
Oh, I'm going to be looking for that because heck yeah. I mean, summer is like, we want to be out, but also too like, hello, we got to pay the bills.
Exactly. I have to pay for brunch somehow.
Right. Mimosas aren't going to pay for themselves.
No.
And then what about for you? Like any trips coming up for you and the family?
For the family, still trying to figure out what we're doing for the summer. Kennedy just passed kindergarten, so I officially have a first grader.
Oh my God.
Great. She was legit a baby when we first started working together. Like you said, I'm going to Austin, which I'm so excited about. And then I have a few clients planning retreats, so I get to do some more traveling summer going into fall. So I am so excited.
Yay. Well, I am so proud of you and how far you've come and how you've handled everything with grace. Like you deserve all the success in the world. And I appreciate you being here and sharing such great advice with all of us. You are very appreciated.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you. Like, absolutely. You have been a major part in my business. If I did not learn early on from you the importance of being a better spender, I would not have made it this far as an entrepreneur.
Well, I am so glad that I had some positive influence there. Thanks again, Ebony.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for tuning into City Girl Savings today. I hope you feel empowered and inspired to master your money as you make your way to your dream life. Make sure you subscribe so you're the first to know when a new episode comes out. I truly value your thoughts and feedback, so please leave a review and let me know how this podcast has impacted you. Can't wait to chat soon and make it a great day.